Hello, people of the internet.
Hi,
Hi, I am American McGee,
I'm Martin.
and we are back to you from the new and improved underground lair here in Shanghai, China. It's what I had to work with. I don't know what to,
Improved
well, uh,
reminds me of the first ever stream we did,
it is
where we
kind of
had
like
like
that
just a
black.
black cloth behind
This
us.
is true, yeah.
It'll
So yeah,
improve.
we are on a black background. I had to soundproof this room. We are literally sat inside of a concrete box that's probably like what 2 meters, 6 feet on a side, and it is incredibly, or it was incredibly echoey in here. So we tried to improve that a bit. Anyway, you don't care. It's been a while since we were streaming. I think maybe over a month. I did move house, and this is the new house that we're sitting in the basement of. We have a lot of crazy stuff going on today.
It's been about a month, hasn't
It
it?
has.
But yes,
Did
crazy
you?
stuff.
So your drive to get here now has like doubled. It used to be a half hour, and now it's an hour.
It's an hour,
Do you die on the way?
a little bit.
He
I die
dies
of
on the way.
boredom.
Mm. Yeah, it's further away. I moved to the far southern border of Shanghai, which is literally on the ocean, which is what the word Shanghai means. It means on the ocean. And I live in Shanghai now, literally on, well, I shouldn't say that because literally on the ocean would mean I'm on a boat.
It is like you couldn't get much closer to
Yeah,
the ocean,
you
could
couldn't.
you?
Yeah, but anyway, let us see who is in the chat today, and then we'll give you a little bit of a description about what we're
Ooh,
doing. So,
let's have a look at some regulars first. Arthur Zero, Craig Spurlock.
Wendy says an hour commute is long? Question mark for Martin.
Yes.
It is.
Lucky Dragon's here. Jennifer's here.
Everybody's
Silver
here. Silver
Jinx is
Jinx.
here.
Wow. Yeah, it's great. Thank you for all of our insane children and people who are returning to view. If you've never seen this before, we're going to play some Alice Madness Returns, which I'm going to extend into an at least a year let's play. So I think we're on track for that. And we have.
We
Hmm?
we should mention we are dual streaming today.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are on YouTube and watching this,
Hello.
hello. Sorry that your text and stuff isn't going to be over at the side.
It's true.
It's not sure what to do about that.
And we'll figure it out later.
So don't message us because we can't see it.
But we will be giving away prizes. You know, if you come here often, we do that. We didn't figure out before the stream what the prizes would be.
Yeah, good. Let's have a think.
Okay, we'll think about it. Uh, that's difficult though. Then we won't know. Anyway, we're gonna play some Madness Returns. We're gonna give away some prizes, and of course, there is massive news about Oz Adventures.
What? Are we going to find out who Redacted 2 is?
We are, and we even have room. We have news about Redacted 1. So that's good. And then I think the biggest news of all is we've got Alex Crowley on. He's going to be a guest. In fact, I don't know if he's listening right now. Didn't we say we were gonna
He
introduce
can
him?
hear us. I'm sure he's watching Twitch.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna unmute. Alex. Apparently, I have to ask him to unmute because he might be doing something naughty over there. And then we're gonna bring. Okay, there's Alex.
Oh no, what's happened to that?
Live from Aussie How's it going down there in
Yeah,
Aussie land?
yeah, great. Thanks, American and Martin. How are you guys today? Good?
We're good. A bit nervous.
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is we're doing our first Zoom jigger thing, and then we are announcing the Oz Adventure stuff, and then we've got a bit of news about Alice. So yeah.
Yeah, big day today. So yeah, we'll just kind of chew through it. I'm actually just looking at the live stream there. I can kind of see my little face floating between you guys. So looks good.
They are
Everybody
saying you need to be louder.
Yeah, apparently
Ooh,
still a little
bit
quiet.
louder?
There we go.
Oh.
What I'll do is I'll crank. I've got my volumes up here. So how's that? Sound a
That's
little bit better?
yes. You
Yeah,
sound
cool.
you sound rock and roll. You know, you've got a little bit of feedback distortion going on there, so that's
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
we'll just chalk that up to poor quality mic. So that's what we got.
All right. So you're here today to talk to us about the Design Bible, is that right? The Alice Asylum Design Bible?
Yeah, that's correct. We've got a sample, which is kind of early proof of concept that I'm going to walk everybody through. We've been working on this backwards and forwards for probably the last, well, the actual design Bible itself for the last month and a half, and we've got it to a point now where we can kind of share I guess, the feel and the style that we want to go with it. And yeah, it should be fun to kind of walk through. We're also going to talk about the process that we've got going on as well with the workflow and how we kind of manage the team and the day-to-day with what we've all got going on with everybody on the project.
Well, it's a complicated, yeah, it should be good. It's a complicated
Nice.
project. I think a lot of people don't realize. I mean, even with only, we've got 7 artists, 6 artists, 7 anyway, but only 7 artists still take a lot of time to wrangle and manage, and the number of moving pieces in putting together the design Bible for a project as large as Asylum is meant to be. Yeah, that needs managing, it needs organizing, and you're doing quite a good job with that. So we're going to show that off today as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll just go through and we'll just step everyone through the process. It's kind of like a little bit of a behind the scenes, I guess, is the best way I could liken it. So,
Yeah. Well, this is fun. It's a first. It's a first out of this new streaming studio. It's a first having you on like this as a Zoom caller, and then we've also got some announcements that are pretty unique as well. So we're gonna say bye to you for about an hour. You will come back after the second prize is given away, and yeah, before that, we're gonna, like I said, Madness returns, and then we're also going to announce what's going on with Oz Adventures. So we'll see you in a little while. Don't be tubing over there.
no worries. No, none of that. All right, cool, guys. Gotcha.
I don't
Bye-bye.
know. I don't know if everybody knows what the tubing thing is, but it's pretty funny. You go look that up. Don't ask me.
Tubin was an arcade game back in the 80s, 90s.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like
Oh yeah, I remember
on a
that.
tube going down the stream.
I totally remember that. Now, we set up all kinds of crazy stuff before we started the stream, except for the controller for the game. So I don't know if this is just going to blow up immediately or what's going to happen. Looks like it's
Hope
going.
not.
Okay. So we need to ramble for about 30 minutes while I play this game.
Talk to people. I
Yeah.
did see a message from Daniel Cunningham several times that we should make the Twitch resolution configurable because it's locked to 720p apparently.
Oh, sorry about
But
that.
none of the settings have changed since yesterday's test, and I was able to change quality settings. So I don't know about that.
Yeah, we can't really play tech support during the video stream. It's been complicated enough for us setting things up over here. When you tear down a whole rig and then you rebuild it from scratch, I was complaining to Martin that every time I tried to make a step towards getting everything set up, it would be like, your computer needs an update. or like suddenly these microphones that don't need drivers were like not functioning because driver error. And I'm like, it doesn't even have a driver. What are you talking about?
Yay, technology.
Yeah, it's maddening. And when you combine that with the madness of moving house, oh boy, it gets really frustrating really fast. So what is everybody saying? What have they been up to
Let's-
during the...
Who have we got here? We've said hello to the regulars, but is there any names here? Some newbies. Let's have a look.
I know that Anthony from Redacted 2 is watching, and maybe more of his team.
Really?
So, yeah.
I will keep an eye out
So-
for an Anthony, but we've got TKI Scatter, Carmine, Sekai Gamer Fans, Ultimatum 2270. Lots of names here that I'm not ultimately familiar with. Welcome one, welcome all, and again, YouTubers, we can't see you or any of what you're typing, but welcome to you as well.
So let's sort out this prize thing because we've only got 25 minutes to figure it out. We've got calendars, we've got plush toys. Oh, what about the Hysteria rabbits? That'd be kind of a fun one. It's a big day. We could give away a big prize. 4 of them.
4 of them.
What are you gonna do?
Wow.
All right, so I've made the executive decision that these Hysteria rabbits we've made, which are inspired by, but in a non-copyright, voidable, infringing way, they're inspired by the rage mode that Alice has in the game. They're-
Homage.
Yeah, well, not rage. I guess it's hysteria we're thinking about here. So I feel like I'm just gonna die right away because I haven't really healthed up at all.
Jayo.
And I haven't practiced or played this game in a month.
You're doing well.
Well, don't say that. You're going to jinx me. Anyway, the Hysteria Rabbits
Touch
are
wood.
really cool. Right now, the only way you can get a Hysteria Rabbit is if you subscribe over on Patreon. And then you'll get like a rabbit and an art print and all kinds of other goodies. But today you can get one for free because you're lazy and you want a prize. And
Yeah.
so we'll do that at the end of this play session.
I was going to say, you mentioned calendars. It does seem maybe a bit late in the year to be giving calendars away, Maybe some people would want them just because of the art that's on it. But yeah, I don't know.
It's a beautiful calendar. I
Really
think
is.
people buy calendars just as collector items. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, for people who are coming back after the last time we live streamed, they'll know that I've already struggled through this puzzle and was very bad at it the first. Huh?
Why are you back here again?
Don't know. No idea. But I am back, and I maybe kind of remember how to do this, so we'll be all right.
All right. We got a lot of viewers.
Saw that.
It's an epic amount of viewers. It's like in the olden days, in the oldie office, we would get 130 at peak, and it would kind of fluctuate from like 80 to 130-ish. Like 293 today, just on Twitch.
That's great. So
We're going to become celebs.
Anybody else got any interesting comments among our
I
viewers?
saw somebody said they liked my top. I forget who it was. It's a very good top.
That in reference to your scalp or to your...
It's a Goku hoodie. So, Guitar Bard missed us. So did Danny Darko.
I bet that's not how he says his name.
I bet it is.
I don't think so.
Was this Jack Ware? Only discovered the channel recently. Well,
Oh, great.
Welcome, Jack.
All right. Well, you know, I think many people know that what slowed us down from live streaming was a combination of the fact that I moved house / studio / office / warehouse, because everything is crammed into this building. It's where we live, it's where we work, it's where we ship out the items from the Mysterious shop, things like that. And that on top of the fact that it was Chinese New Year. We had several weeks where basically all of China was shut down because it was the biggest, I guess it's still the biggest migration and holiday period in the world.
It is,
Yeah.
but it felt a little different this year.
It certainly did. The fact that they were really trying to encourage people not to travel around had a big impact. So everybody was doing, I guess they're kind of like staycations, you know, they're staying in the city instead of traveling, because normally every year there's something like 300 or 400 million people travel during this period, and so it makes it the largest. Am I just back in the same dumb room? It makes it the largest annual migration of human beings on the planet, period, right? So that's always kind of interesting to be around to witness and witness the effect it has on the country. But this year it was muted quite a bit. I think they were only down like 30% though, so it's still like several hundred million people.
Yeah,
but
usually I live downtown, like in the center, and on normal Chinese New Year holidays, it becomes a ghost town, which is just mental for a city that's got as many people in it as Shanghai.
27 million people.
But yeah, I didn't really notice that as much this year. Didn't seem to be quite as desolate, so it is what it is.
Yeah, well, of course, because they were strongly encouraging. The encouragements kept increasing until they got the result they wanted. And I have a theory about this sort of news network in China. That is that there's a lot of old people here, and among the old people, one of their favorite hobbies is gossip. I think that's probably true everywhere in the world. I think that the government here, when it wants to get news out kind of softly but very broadly, it resorts to the Chinese Grandma News Network. And that is that they will sort of spread these ideas amongst that population of hey, maybe it's not great to travel, you know, stuff like that. And it works. So you get all the grandmothers and the aunties who start to talk about like, oh, you're not going back to your hometown, are you? You know, and they just pour on the discouragement or the warnings about whatever it is that's the hot topic, you know. And then if that doesn't work, they resort to the regular old news, saying, please don't go home. But I think just like in a lot of places in the world, you know, people don't generally trust the news. In fact, if you tell a bunch of people like, please don't go out and buy masks, then like everybody goes out and buys masks. So this is their way of, I guess, getting to the front line of where news comes.
What'd you do that for?
Because I couldn't see the platform. But yeah, I think it's pretty clever actually. It's this roundabout like, well, Grandma said we shouldn't travel, so let's not travel thing, as opposed to some guy on the news that you don't really trust anyway telling you like, you know, please don't travel. So yeah, it actually had a pretty good effect. What did you do during the New Year's, Martin?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I came here.
You did come here. You came here for a New Year's Eve dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also to get a handle on just how far away this place is.
It's not. So I saw Wendy J earlier. She commented that jokingly that like 1 hour is far because, you know, in a lot of places and for a lot of people, they have a 1 hour commute to work every day.
Yeah, I'm from England. It's tiny.
It's not that tiny. You guys used to rule the seas, Britannia.
Not when I was around.
Well, it's, you know, it's
not
in
that
your,
old.
It's really. I thought you were. I thought I saw you like captaining one of those sea ships there. I don't know, Martin. I've been to the UK. You've got your M1s and M2s in and out of London, and man, those are some crappy things to sit in traffic on. I mean,
Generally, if you live and work in the same city, it's probably not going to be an hour's commute.
I see. I believe that I just broke this. I did this incorrectly. I'm supposed to set that thing on that thing, and then I'm supposed to jump across those things, and I didn't do it. It's even telling me right here that you should. Oh no, that's a caterpillar. Never mind.
I see a couple of people in the chat now. They have been mentioning, how is my diet? Am I drinking water? And have I lost weight?
Let me tell you, he's an all-new Martin, and I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to, what is it, razz you or roast you? No. You have done incredibly well, and by my sense of it, you weren't that bad off last time, you know, but I know this was something about going to the hospital and insurance qualifications, so they tend to be more strict. But I think just speaking visually, like I never looked at you and were like, geez, Martin, you could really stand. I thought you were normal, but
I felt a little portly around the middle.
Oh, but when you popped over last time and then this morning, I was like, wow, you really lost. Even my wife was like, what diet is that?
So yeah, I've been on like 95% like protein only, egg,
The
chicken,
keto diet.
tuna, broccoli is a good one. Yeah, just water and black coffee. Since January the 12th, when I started, I have lost 10 kilograms.
What is that in freedom pounds?
22 pounds, I think.
Woo, that's significant.
Yeah, it's
well-
kind of mental, but you know, you can lose a lot when you've got a lot to lose. So,
Yeah, well, like I said, you didn't appear to need to lose a lot to me last time, or when all this started. But I think you did a fantastic job.
yeah, thank you.
What are you going to do now? Like swim the channel?
Well,
go enter Tour de France?
I want to lose another 4, and that'll get me down to an even 80.
Wow.
And then I'll decide what heroic feats of strength I'm going to try and achieve.
Just go back to eating cake.
Probably will have a little cake
Yeah,
just as a
that's good.
celebration.
Yeah, it's a funny world we live in. I've gone through several series of like abstinence, you know, not drinking. I've done the keto diet thing at one point, and you know, we really live in a world that discourages being healthy. One of the things I've always found annoying when you're trying to stop drinking is that everywhere you look, there's alcohol, and you don't realize how pervasive like the alcohol industry is in terms of advertising until you stop drinking, and then you realize like alcohol is literally everywhere. And I guess, what's happened? Has he become like a ghost?
Ooh, what have you done?
I don't know. I made a ghost wasp. That doesn't look good.
Yeah, Jack Ware just mentioned alcohol, saying they lost a lot of weight when they cut out beer.
Yep.
So I just said water and black coffee, but of course, if I'm going out, meeting a buddy of an evening, yeah, I also stopped beer. I'm on to the G&Ts now.
That was my idea. But you know, there's a lot of sugar in the tonic that you're drinking.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be looking at here? Just sort of like totems? Okay. All right, art director, I appreciate your art. It's
But
done.
yes, there was a lot of congratulations and well wishes in the comments for my effort, so thank you very much, guys.
That's great.
Keeping going. Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic way to celebrate a holiday. Just that's what I think most people are like. Oh, holiday's coming. I'm going to go on a massive diet. That's good.
Got to get that beach bod.
There you go. And now you're right next to the beach. You can go swim around in the ocean off the
Is there a
coast of
beach
China.
near here, or is it just sort of like rocky, crumbling coastline?
Hey, says the guy who lives in the UK or comes from the UK.
We've got sand.
Exactly. Well, they've got sand down there. I just don't think it's.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe I've got the proper tool.
I've got the proper tool.
You will
Does she?
find the entrance to the next sacred cave.
So around here, we were unpacking boxes. It took us 3 trucks to move, and then lots of carloads on top of that. So it was a lot. And then we spent the holiday unpacking. That was pretty exciting. I don't really have much else to say about that. I wish I had a better story, but that's our story for how we spent this Chinese New Year.
Lucky Dragon saying the UK has decent beaches. I mean, I've got good memories of beaches there growing up, like going to Cleethorpes and Great Yarmouth and stuff.
I love how everything from the UK sounds like it's like the oldie, like you were like literally in Lord of the Rings, you know?
The Vale of Cleethorpes.
Exactly. I better remember how to do that. Oh man.
Yeah, remember how to do that.
Well, I forgot it for a moment.
Yeah, where else? Skegness. That's about it, really.
Skegness, the luck monster of Skegness. I would go sun tanning next to him in my Englishy yieldy boat when I was a sea captain. Don't you guys become sea captains when you're like 3 years old in the UK?
Honorary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, that was Chinese New Year. I hope everybody else out there was doing something fun in this still crazy time. I don't understand why we're still in this thing. I'm like thinking, wow, this time last year I was out sailing in Thailand, and the world seemed well at that point it seemed kind of messed up. But I think what's going on here?
Cheshire Cat, not Cheshire, Chesray Cat has posted this message, this question several times now, so let's get to it.
Must be important.
Must be. What was the most difficult part to develop in Madness Returns?
The really good question, huh? I don't know if I've ever really.
You're free, my
I have
friend.
answered that before. I think in all developments, oftentimes the most difficult thing is just people. I would say that was true here as well. When you have a team of like, from Madness Returns, we had 300 people working on it, but there were 100 in the Spicy Horse office. I was just talking about this the other day with somebody that every human being needs, deserves, and wants things related to ownership, respect, and control. Right? It's really important for everybody to feel like they have a part to play, that the part they play is respected, and that they have some element of input and control for what it is that they do. Right? And that is okay when it's like you and me, we can talk about it quite easily. But as soon as you start introducing, 4 or 5 other people who have competing desires for those things, also combined with the tendency of human beings to fight or to, it's not necessarily fight against each other, but to fight for those things and not always in equal parts, you get friction. So on Madness Returns, just like with every other project I've been on, you spend actually a lot of time in management of those types of things, of making sure people feel comfortable and respected and that they play a part that's important. And that's really hard when there's only so much of that to go around. I often reference the fact of like the title of say game designer or of composer, lead composer. There's only one person in that role, and that means that you very often have lots of other people on the team who they want to have a say in the game's design or in the game's narrative, right? So we ran into a lot of that on Madness Returns, especially on a project like Madness Returns, because it is so surreal. In a sense, it's sort of boundless as to what you can do. Which makes it feel to a lot of people like, well, hey, I've got this crazy idea. This game doesn't necessarily have rhyme or reason. Why can't my idea be in there? And that would happen quite a lot. So I would put that near the top of the list. And you know, working on a game like this is actually quite a joy because there is so much blank canvas to work with. But that also brings that issue of listen to my idea, throw it on the blank canvas. What's wrong with you? You know, I should be in control of this project, right? So I don't know if that answers it sufficiently.
Very thorough answer.
Right. There's a lot of stuff like that, though. You know, I'd
I
say
think it's just infinite enemies.
I feel like that's the case, and what I'm doing wrong here is that I'm not supposed to sit here and kill them one by one. But during a moment where I'm trying to explain something like that, then it's easier than completing the goal, right? So
Right.
I know, Martin. You're trying to tell me to get
What you doing?
Oh well. That could have been a convenient time to segue, but I still feel the universe is telling us to segue. All right, I'm gonna try this one more time. What is going on with these guys? Come on. Hey, somebody farted in my ear. Thanks. That's what I need right now.
Was
Uh-oh.
it Truth Decay played a fart?
Of course.
Thanks.
What? Okay.
The chuffery.
All right. Are there any more questions for the world's worst,
Well,
Alice?
actually.
Huh?
If you need to maybe scroll a bit. Somebody mentioned an interesting one about EA going to Congress for an Alice Madness Returns tagline. What's that all about?
I don't think that's right. I think that the threat I remember a situation where I tweeted something about how the marketing for Alice Madness Returns. This kind of does segue into that first question. I mean, some people asked what was the most difficult thing. I kind of not jokingly want to say just managing the relationship with the publisher, which I say that understanding that all publisher relationships can be a little bit difficult. And I hope that publishers like EA don't take offense to people saying something that's true like that. And that's true across industries. Like if you're a music label, then you and your artists oftentimes kind of come to heads, right? So I think that there was a point where I made a tweet or I wrote a post or something where I basically said that EA's marketing for Alice Madness Returns was misleading. Misleading marketing can be illegal. And I remember I got an email or a call from the communications head of EA where he said, you need to retract that or else we'll end up in front of Congress. That they'd get called to Congress or something like that for an investigation. So I don't know if it's related to that, but I did issue an apology, which basically provided the definition of the word marketing, which in itself alludes to the fact that you're overselling a product or you're using attributes or aspects of the product to leverage the buyer's psychological state in order to force them to buy something or make them feel that they must buy something, which in itself is manipulation and it is misleading. So I basically threw that out there as my cheeky apology, non-apology, but it made them go away.
And everything was right with the world.
Yes, of course. And EA went on to become the most respected and wonderful game publisher in the world. Yay. Okay. Are there any other questions? What was the one you wanted me to
Well, that one.
Oh, that
But
was the
somebody mentioned about how was your initial move to China? Was it stressful or something? They quite like to give it a go. Something along those lines.
You and I both know this. You can't compare moving to China today to what it was like to move here 15 years ago. I mean, they're just not the same. They're just not the same country. You can't emphasize that enough. The rate of transformation here is unprecedented, and the transformation that's taking place here is unbelievable. I wake up every day, go drive around, interact, see the city we're living in, and I'm stunned. I'm constantly stunned by the amount of progress that they're making here. So, and they just announced a maglev train going from Shenzhen to Beijing, and you can get there faster than if you took the plane type of stuff. And then when they announce those things, like they just do them. It's like, we're going to do this. And then a couple years later, done.
Mentioned it before, but watch the Wendover Productions China Railways YouTube video. It's fascinating.
It is really crazy.
And awesome.
It is. Okay, delay no more. First off, by the way, that's a curse word in Cantonese. If you want to curse at a Hong Kong Cantonese speaker, you just say delay no more, and they will punch you in the face. I'm not joking. You go look it up. But it's not. It's English that sounds like a curse in Cantonese. So give it a shot or not. I mean, if you want to get punched in the face by a Hong Kong person, that's a way to do it. Okay.
A couple of people mentioned a couple of minutes ago, has the news been revealed yet?
No,
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 not yet.
We're going to give away a prize, and then we're going to get into that. So, how do we give away prizes around here? You have to ask a question. Yep.
I've got one.
It's going to be terrible.
No, it's actually okay.
I bet it's going to be horrible. Go for it.
We have just recently been talking about Chinese New Year.
Yes.
Is there any sort of interesting holidays where you're from? If you're from a unusual country. I mean, I'm sure we've got a lot of Americans in the chat, so you've got like your 4th of Julys and whatnot.
So your question is,
But if you're like from Lithuania or something, is there sort of like potato rolling day or something? I don't know.
Racist.
Just
Now
something weird and unusual.
Now you're doing the Borat thing, and people all over the internet are going to be outraged at you. How dare you make fun of our Lithuanian potato rolling festival, you cultural...
Do a Borat impression.
I'm not doing a Borat impression. I hate that guy. All right, so that's basically like saying, here in China, we breathe oxygen. Do you also breathe oxygen where you live? Go for it.
I want to hear if there's anything interesting that we might not have heard of before. We've got Day of the Dead. We know that one. That's
All right.
cool.
I like Day of the Dead very much.
Sandwich Day.
Sandwich Day.
That sounds great.
That could be from England. You guys invented the sandwich. So
I do like a sandwich.
Yeah, Groundhog Day. I always liked that one. That was a good movie, too.
It really was.
They celebrate Chinese New Year. Funnel Day. What the hell is a funnel day?
Funnel Day.
Is that like those funnel cakes? Maybe they're from Belgium.
Did you mistype fennel?
I don't know. There's a Nutella Day. I guess the question ought to be something more like a national holiday that's celebrated. But a lot of people, like for instance, if you live in Hong Kong, you celebrate all the holidays because there's so many intersecting cultures that have lived and settled and ruled and all that stuff there. So you sort of get Chinese and Buddhists and English and American holidays. It's quite a mess. Guy Fawkes Day.
Day of Unity. Was that when the wall came down in Germany?
Don't know.
Could have been Unbirthday Day.
That sounds like a universal one. All right. Well, is Nightbot up and running? Because I don't like your question. I think it's dumb.
It got a lot of response.
There's a lot of people watching. All right, I'm going to roll it. Here we go. Oh, by the way, we use Nightbot to choose winners. That's why we ask you to...
And again, sorry if you're on YouTube.
Stop apologizing to them. You
I'm
can't
British.
see them.
It's second nature to us.
All right. Okay, here we go. We're going to 3, 2, 1, roll it. And Nightbot says that Patient 322 wins the... And that's one of our patrons. That's one of our...
Do we have a pen?
No, you'll have to use your phone. Sorry.
Use my imagination.
Congratulations, Patient 322. Here, I tell you what. I'll copy this into this this here text document.
Do that.
You tell Patient 223 whatever to how to do the thing.
Send an email to support@mysterious.design. Tell us that you won the Hysteria Rabbit. Give us your name and address and telephone number formatted correctly on separate lines. Do this within 24 hours or you're not getting your thing. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it, isn't it?
So congratulations, Patient 322. You won a Hysteria bat.
A Hysteria
Rabbit.
Bat.
You won a
You wanted to say Babat, didn't you?
I don't know. This is the fault of having a child in the house. He's babbling all the time, and I'm starting to imitate him. Okay.
I'm sorry for babbling, all right?
Yes. All right, here's the deal. We developed a project when we were over on Patreon, and that thing is called Oz Adventures. Now, this happened because a Chinese game publisher came to us. They asked us to develop a concept for a new studio. So they want to help us build a game studio here in China, and they want to have a concept, a project, obviously, attached to that, and then they would approve the whole kit and caboodle and throw a bunch of money at us to build the studio and make that game. Now, the game they're really interested in is Alice Asylum. That's what we initially pitched them. But there still continue to be issues trying to secure the license and all the fun that goes with that. But they said, never mind, we don't want you to build that first anyway. We'll sort that out later. Please come up with a new concept that can be independently owned. We don't have to worry about licenses and we don't have to worry about EA. And then use that to prove your studio over the first couple of years. Then we'll come back and deal with Alice Asylum after that. So this turned into us asking our patrons, hey, what should we build? And the patrons all screamed, Oz! We want to see the Wizard of Oz!
It's a popular thing to scream when we ask that question.
It is. Now, I've actually tried to bring The Wizard of Oz to life as a game twice before. The first time was like right after the successful launch of the first Alice game. I did something called American McGee's Oz with a game studio in the Bay Area called Ronin. That lasted for a year. We actually got half of a game built, and then the people behind the financing of that, which was Infogrames/Atari, went bankrupt. And when they went bankrupt, so did the development. Like everybody lost their job on that basically overnight. And that was a big boon. It was really sad. And it destroyed that game developer, and it was just generally all around bad. Some years later, I tried again while we were at Spicy Horse. I gave the project the unfortunate name of Oz Zombie, and a lot of people didn't like that. And so the Kickstarter failed for that, among other reasons, which we then pivoted to like another smaller Alice project. And managed to get that out. Anyway, fast forward to these days, and the company that we refer to as Redacted, the big Chinese game publisher, they inspired the creation of a new attempt. And that then got the attention of a film production company in Hollywood who approached me and said, hey, we'd really like to see this made. And their specialty is film and television. So they kind of bounced the idea around with me and settled on trying to turn this into a very large scale TV series, and then target that at potential buyers. The buyers would be companies like Amazon or Netflix or HBO. And so we then spent some, I guess, months further developing the concept. Now you see on screen here is like some of the concept art that comes from Oz Adventures. And this was done by our Alice Asylum pre-production team, again with the support of our wonderful insane children over on Patreon. This is one of the images kind of evocative of what the story is about. Here's another one. Basically, what we're doing is we're turning the Wizard of Oz story and Oz itself into a sort of magical Bermuda Triangle that pulls in people from all over the world across all time and dumps them into a kind of live or die experience where they have to figure out, first of all, where they are, then how to survive, and then how to escape. And the people who fall into this situation, some of them, it's primarily accidental, like it's involuntary. They get lost in a storm and then they emerge in Oz. And they're not happy. They want to get out for the most part, unless maybe they fall in love or something like that. But there are a few bad guys in here who intentionally find their way into Oz. And so then we get to see why they're there, what they're up to. And then a lot of times you get to see these different parties interacting. So I often think about it like, we've designed the meat grinder puzzle box, and then we're throwing various characters into it. And if they fail, they get ground up. And if they succeed, then, maybe they gain some wisdom or some power or some sort of resource from the environment, or they escape, or maybe all of the above. So that's kind of the pitch. Did I leave anything out?
No, it's pretty thorough.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you've been thinking about it a lot.
We have been thinking about it a lot. And so we're very happy to, this is Pirates in Oz.
Yarr.
I really like the Pirates in Oz concept. So we're really happy to be working with this group in Hollywood to both develop the idea and then put together materials necessary to go out and present this to the aforementioned companies. And I think there's an opportunity here for us to see this developed both into a television show and also into a game series. And of course, I think most of you know a lot of the companies that are really active in media these days are active in sort of cross or transmedia, meaning that if they pick up a television series, then they will also pick up the thing to develop into a game. Like Netflix has a fund for that. Amazon obviously has the capability and a fund for that. Apple is also in both businesses. So what we're hoping is that one of those types of companies will come along and pick this up. And then it could be that the interest that's generated by the fact that it's getting turned into a television then splashes back to the Chinese company that approached us, the first Redacted, and it inspires them to move forward. Now, we actually have some news from them as well as of yesterday. And they're coming here to Shanghai in mid-March to meet with us. And that's basically like a go or no-go meeting that's going to happen. So they're very interested in it. They're still talking about it quite a lot at high levels internally. And I think that maybe we're going to get to see how these two pieces, the Hollywood angle and the development angle, work together. to generate a ton of excitement and get this project off the ground.
It's all go, isn't it?
It is.
Very exciting.
Well, we're not in the year of the rat anymore, which was my bad luck year. So, because I'm a rat, according to Chinese mythology, we're in the year of the iron ox. So let's all ride that iron
Sounds
ox.
like a great kung fu move.
Or a really good heavy metal band.
Iron Ox.
There you go.
Probably already is.
It probably is. So here's the deal. We are partnering up with a company called Radar Pictures. They are a Hollywood film and TV production company headed by, I think founded by is the right term there, a guy named Ted Field, and he's also the founder of Interscope Records. His record of productions is extensive. He's produced over 50 of some of the world's most iconic or classic movies, and is still producing today. And he's also produced a ton of television shows. And then for music fans of you out there, he was the founder of Interscope Records, which means he produced artists that we all love, like Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails. I think they signed Madonna a few years ago, Slim Shady, Eminem and Dr. Dre and all of those. So actually, Interscope, like if I were to go through my collection of CDs and albums and stuff from the days long gone, half of my library was from Interscope. So I've always been a big fan of that label. They are known to be risk takers, and they're known to be like trailblazers, and they set the tone oftentimes for a whole era, a whole generation of music and what we kind of listen to. And the same goes for the films that Ted's produced. I mean, it's a crazy collection that starts all the way back with like the Revenge of the Nerds, and then goes on to Bill and Ted's, and it has things in there like What Dreams May Come, which was one of my favorite movies.
It's a good movie.
And it actually inspired a lot of the visuals that you see in the Alice games. So
I saw on the picture you had up a little earlier, also did The Invention of Lying.
Yep.
It's kind of a little guilty pleasure of mine. I quite like that movie.
Yeah, it's really good. There are a bunch of guilty pleasures in there. It's very funny because the movies that he produces, they don't just kind of stand there on their own. They infect, or they feel like they're like a part of an era or a generation. Once one of those movies comes out, you link it up with like a music and a style and a feeling, and it persists for sometimes years. Like the Bill and Ted movies. I mean, those saturated our culture so much that like everywhere you went, people were quoting them. They were pulling taglines from them and things like that. So if you want to know more about Radar, they do of course have a website like everybody. You can go check that out. It's radarpictures.com.
Riddick, Jumanji, Last
Riddick.
Samurai, Bill and Ted.
So
What's that? That Love Blows.
Love
What's
Blows.
that?
It might just be Love Blows.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some fantastic movies in their catalog. I loved the Riddick movies.
Is that 3 men and a little baby?
Yeah, they did that
at the
movie
bottom.
as well. Ted did that movie as well. Look, if you go over to his Wikipedia page and you go through this list of films right here, every year he produces a movie that like resonated with the culture of that year and then went on from there. Every year he has one of those in there. So I think, if you don't know who they are, you don't know who Ted is, I'm telling you right now, this is something to be very excited about. Because
Pitch Black.
Pitch Black was, I'm telling you, you just go through this.
They do all the good stuff.
They do all the good stuff. I can't tell you how incredibly happy I am about this. And part of it is just the energy that Ted himself brings. He's a very unique entrepreneur. He's quite famous for that. In fact, Wikipedia describes him as a mogul.
Ooh.
I want to know what you have to do to become a mogul.
All of those movies.
Exactly. So we're really happy. And then he's got on board with him, of course, the team at Radar. Those are the ones that watched one of our live streams and picked that up. It was Anthony on their team first, and then he introduced me to Michael and Maria over there. And that's who I've been working with on just sort of packaging and thinking through all the moving parts. So
Well, as soon as Radar Pictures popped up on screen, and yes, that is who Redacted 2 is, yeah, there's a lot of hype. Lots of like, ooh, yeah, can't wait, great, awesome. People are, they're all aboard the hype train as far as I can tell.
Yep, I think so. And rightly so. Again, I can't describe my excitement about this very easily because I've done a lot of pitches and I've been in a lot of rooms where you're talking to Hollywood executives about how they're going to bring something to life and what they're going to do. The one thing I've noticed about this team is that they talk about what they're going to do and then they immediately do it. And that's a big difference from a lot of the meetings I've been to in Hollywood where it's like, yeah, you're great. I mean, if you live in Hollywood, you have to buy a pair of smoke-proof pants because you've got people blowing smoke up your so often that if you don't, all your clothes are ruined. And these guys, they're really sweet. They seem to really like the kind of stuff that we create, and they're really moving on the project. One thing to note is that Ted and his team, they're the ones who recently picked up the Wheel of Time novel series, and they're developing that over at Amazon. I hope I'm saying that right. It's because it's kind of confusing. There are a lot of names that were rolling around. It's like Sony, which is where I think something came from, and then Amazon, and then, but anyway, they are turning Wheel of Time into a giant, sort of like a Game of Thrones level of production TV series.
You've mentioned it before. Quite like to give that a look.
Well, so one of the things that's really cool about Ted and his team is that they're really into technology. And I think that's one of the reasons that Ted likes us, is because we also want to develop a game alongside this. And if any of you have been watching, I think all of you have been watching The Mandalorian on television, you may know that they're using the Unreal Engine and a really unique version of, it's not green screening, it's like literal screening.
It's a massive, like, HD curved screen, isn't it?
Correct. So when you build fantasy worlds like we need to build, that makes the possibilities for what you're building limitless, because anything you could render in a game engine, you can now render on television. You can render in the studio and have the actors and actresses play against that screen, and it has all this amazing motion tracking and perspective creation and all the other things that go on, so you don't have to build these sets. And when you watch the series, you can't tell. Like, I watched The Mandalorian first couple episodes, and I was like, man, they really spent a lot of money on set building. And then one of my friends sent me this video of the Mandalorian set, which is all these huge, hyperpixel digital screens. And I was like, oh, they didn't build anything. I mean, they built it in the game.
They hoodwinked me.
Yeah. So this is the presentation that the Radar team put together. This is what they're taking out to shop around to the various locations where this might get picked up. It basically just goes through, and it's I think fairly common in terms of what I've seen from, when you pitch a film or a television series, you're just hitting on the main notes for what a TV executive who buys this kind of thing wants to know. So they introduce the project, they talk a bit about the characters, and keep in mind a lot of this in terms of stylization is done not based on the art we've done, but it's sort of done on painting a picture of the tone of what might get made. So this isn't our art, obviously. This is just sort of the pitch document art. But as I mentioned before, it's like a different version of Oz. We've obviously turned it into horror survival fantasy island. So, as far as like bringing back the old characters, the Tin Man and Scarecrow, we might see some variations on them, but it is, as it concerns the characters everybody knows from the books, like Dorothy won't be in this, right? There might be a relic of Dorothy built somewhere in this Oz, but it won't be that Oz. It's sort of like with the Alice series, the way that it's branched off in my version. This will also be branched off, though there may still be some ancient signs of the previous stories that were told in that space.
All right.
Yeah, so here they just kind of go through what's the genre. I think for my part, like I want sort of a Game of Thrones meets Chainsaw Massacre, something like that. And, they're pitching this as a TV series. And what happens to the characters, like I said, for me, it's really about putting people like us, real people from the past, through trials that cause their character to emerge in ways that it wouldn't unless they were put under all this pressure and threat of death and disfigurement. So that's sort of described in here. And then also we're starting to include the game stuff, again, for those places where they might want to also pick up the game and develop these concepts side by side. And, they did a little mention here of music. We talked about this before the live stream, actually. Again, these are sort of placeholders. I sent them a bunch of music that is going to be, I think, like, in my mind, is sort of the music of the world of Oz. But because you have all these cool characters from different times coming into Oz, being pulled in there, some of them may literally carry an iPod with them, and then their music will be thematically linked to the era that they came from. Or if it's from, characters that are before the era of iPods, will still have music that kind of fits the era that they came from. So you can expect, I imagine, to hear the show's sort of core themes as more orchestral and thematic in that way. But for the characters who arrive in Oz, I think they'll bring with them their own music, and that should be kind of a fun offset, you know.
For the longest time, I pronounced that Skill Rex. Like an idiot.
Skillet. Isn't he Skillet? He's famous for like frying up.
I don't know, but it's certainly not Skill Rex.
And then they've talked a little bit about new media stuff. So, you know, for my part and for the association we have with Patreon and all of our Insane Children, I want to continue the crowd design concept as we go through the development and launch of this series and of the game. So that means that for those that are joining us via Patreon, all of the sort of early access stuff still maintains, you know, mention in the credits of the games and stuff like that would still maintain. So this idea came about in conjunction with our Insane Children and the role they played in sort of helping to shape the pitch, which then shaped the art, which then caught the eye of all the people who are interested in it now. I think that's really important, and I think that should be the future of production. Like when you go to watch a TV series or you go to play a game, I think there's a lot of people who are fans who want to be involved in the production before the thing goes live on screen. And that allows them to shape it, allows them to know what it is that they're buying into. And I think it's something that's desperately missing from content production, you know, media production in general these days. So, you know, like a podcast or continuation of these live streams would be a big part of that. So that while the story is being written and the characters are being fleshed out and the world is being built, all of you can be there seeing screenshots of that stuff and talking about it. And, you know, some respects helping to guide what it is that we're building.
Somebody did ask an interesting question. I don't know if it's mentioned in this. Will it be PG-13 or R?
That's really up to whoever purchases it and decides to fund the, you know, the building of the TV series. As far as the game goes, I think that we'd like it to be an M rating. It needs to have teeth, right? Are there ratings on television shows like an R? Like a Game of Thrones? I'm sure it's
some
mature.
channels, they do have a pop-up card before the show that says like, you know, mature themes, sexual content, whatever.
That's right. Yeah, when I remember watching, you know, Game of Thrones, you'd get that all the time. Although, I mean, I was sad we never got to see Jaime Lannister with all his clothes on. That's just, you know, I don't know. So, yeah, as far as rating stuff goes, I mean, that'll come a little bit later. But it's obviously meant to be a dark telling of this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the rest of the stuff they put in here, it's mainly about trying to pitch the market to these executives. I think most of the executives know this stuff, but they like to see that you're aware of it as well.
They love a good graph.
They do. And then this just kind of goes over the fact that, yeah, we want to do a game and a television, and eventually there could be a movie, merchandising. Those of you that follow us know we like to do really cool merchandising, so that'd be a part of this. And then all kinds of digital media stuff. So keep in mind the art that's in this presentation is not ours. So that's not sort of like project art. Just trying to set a tone. So
that one's ours.
Well, there is stuff that's ours. Yeah, that's that. So this is the work that the Radar team is doing to get ready to go out and pitch this as a TV show. So they actually will have their first meeting pitch thing on this tomorrow morning at this time.
Wow.
And the guy we're talking to sounds like he could just go, yep, and the whole thing will happen. So everybody out there who's watching
let's
cross,
hope.
cross your fingers, and we'll hope that happens.
Just like Q, make something happen.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like this whole time we've had the Zoom window hanging out there.
Yeah, I was going to mention it. It doesn't look like it's hurting anything.
It's hurting me. So that's the big reveal. Redacted 2 is Radar Pictures and the team that's over there. And I'm very thankful, very appreciative, very happy, and very hopeful about this collaboration. I hope that it turns into something that's also makes that kind of generational impact, cultural impact that I mentioned that all of Ted's projects have done. So
hope so.
There's some smoke up Ted's pants. Do we have any questions or comments that you think we should call out there?
There's a lot of well wishers. Let's scroll back a bit.
That's a long way to scroll back.
Well,
I've seen like a million comments scroll by there.
I mean, you were just on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, you can just say that I talk too much. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's asking, would Chris Verna come back? Yeah, actually, yesterday I sent the team a document, and in that document, I mentioned that like I'd love to have Chris back on board. I don't know how many of you are, sort of listen to soundtracks and stuff like that, but there's an artist out there. His name is Max Richter. He's a German/English composer musician. He's done music for shows like I've just forgot the name of the show.
What a great name, though.
Well, his
Max
music,
Richter.
his music is fantastic. One of the things I like about him is that he does this recomposed series where he'll take like the music of Vivaldi and he'll recompose it, like the title says. But the way he does it is he kind of modernizes it and he themifies it in a way that makes it really get stuck in your head, and it's very evocative. He kind of amps up the best parts of the original 4 seasons and then takes out all the parts that you don't really want to hear.
Right.
And then the show that I heard him do a soundtrack for recently was called Taboo. If you haven't seen that show, watch that show. But yeah, listen to Max Richter. He was very much on the top of the list. Yeah, there's a couple on the list that I sent to them, and Nine Inch Nails and Manson and Verena. Those guys were all they were all on there.
This fella has mentioned this a couple of times now, the same comment. Richard Mercer, UK, huge fan from the UK, have a signed Otherlands. The brother and they are theatre actors. Would love to do some voice characters in the game someday.
That's cool.
We get a lot of that.
Yep.
You know, people on the support channel, I tell them it's a little on the early side.
Yep.
To be putting feelers out for that. But, you know, just keep an eye on our channels, Facebook, Patreon, Twitch, whatever. And should the call ever go out, I'm sure you'll hear it.
There you go. A lot of people are asking how to spell Richter. I think it's Richter, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I'm just a huge fan of his work. And actually, the Taboo stuff, the music from that, I would actually think it would be more appropriate for an Alice game, but it's still a very good way to get introduced to his music. So,
Is Oz going to be a game or a TV series? Says somebody who must have literally just joined Twitch.
yeah, we hope it'll be both. That's for sure. I see some more questions about gore and R ratings and things like that. I think we've seen all these comments, Martin. Maybe it's just the same. That's as far back as I can go.
Okay.
But anyway, I hope everybody's excited about this as
How
as we
analog
are.
navigation will work in Oz. Most people crashed in Oz by boat or plane. First incident will be to figure out where they are by the use of sun and stars.
Yeah, I mean, look, when people first crash into this world, I think their first reaction is going to be, what the F? And depending on where they crash,
They're not instantly just going to whip out a sextant.
yeah. But I think that where they crash, that'll be relevant to how quickly it's revealed to them that they're not in Kansas anymore, right? There's some places in Oz where you could crash and you wouldn't figure out too quickly that you were in a very strange place. There's other places where these guys are going to crash. Like if you crash straight into the castle of an angry wizard, you'll find out pretty fast that you're not in a normal place, right? So as far as that goes, I mean, I don't think it'd be very interesting to see people sort of struggling around trying to figure out where they are. I mean, you bought the product or you clicked to turn on the TV show. I think you, the audience, know that fairly well. And maybe it's a kind of funny joke, like at the first, that someone who crashes there thinks they've crashed into sort of like a Burning Man or something, or Halloween party. So they don't quite get it. But I mean, those sort of illusions would be stripped away immediately, right?
I'm sure it's not just all sort of wizened adventurers that rock up on the shores. I mean, there could be like some crash from it's like a pleasure cruise or just a private jet.
Yeah, for sure.
Where some sort of like spaced out person who only knows TikTok and selfies.
Well, but that'll be funny though. It may be the people who are so constantly absorbed in their phone that take longer to realize that, where they've crashed is not a great place. Michael asks, do you carry a sextant? Michael, I think you missed the part where I said that all Brits are assigned to be sea captains at like the age of 4. So the answer is yes. He carries a sextant and a scope and a compass with him at all times. Okay, I think we're good here on this section, and I hope everybody is as excited as we are about the fact that the Oz project is moving forward like this. I do want to reassure everybody who's come here for Alice that this type of thing, it was developed alongside trying to get Alice picked up, and it still very much has the potential to help to push Alice into production. It could be, film and television, hopefully the game as well. And we are still very much working on and very focused on Alice Asylum. And that is going to be our segue to bringing Alex on to talk about the design Bible and where that's at. But first,
we
need to give away a prize.
Following up, so don't think it's one or the other. It's not Alice or Oz. It's one will help the other. Just
incestuous. Yes. Exactly. Okay, so we're going to give away a prize. It is another of one of our
Hysteria rabbits.
Exactly.
Do we have a picture of it?
I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you want to see a picture of it, go over to Patreon. All the posts over on Patreon open up for free for non-patrons. That's after 3 days. So patrons get 3-day early access, and then anybody can look at the posts after that. And one of the posts, or several of the posts, there is a Hysteria rabbit. Didn't you put the Hysteria rabbit in the sign up picture? The Tears picture on.
Yes,
okay.
It is on the Tears picture.
All right. Someone says, "Stick boy, you failed us."
Oh no!
I don't know why.
What did you do?
Who knows?
Failed them apparently.
It's pretty severe. So let's bring Alex on, but first let's give away the Hysteria rabbit. So the question is, what or who is your favorite Wizard of Oz character? And I mean from all of the Oz books. There are 13 plus another additional 20 or something that are not written by Baum, but inside those books there are hundreds, if not thousands, of characters. So I'd be curious to hear who is your favorite. Oh, and don't say Dorothy.
What if Dorothy's their favorite?
Well, I mean, just expand your understanding of the books a bit. I don't know. I think she's a weird character. I mean, she violates a bunch of rules for characters in terms of arc, because by the end of it, I don't know that she's really learned much. And along the way, she murders and hurts a bunch of people. So, I mean, told in a different fashion, it could be the story of a rampaging maniac who goes and kills and steals and lies. And I mean, I don't know. She just sort of not very nice. It's like the Jack and the Beanstalk stories. I mean, what right did he have to climb up to some guy's castle and canoodle with his wife and murder him? It's just not right. These are very evil, dark characters. So.
A bit more modern, the recent hot topic in gaming, people being upset about The Last of Us Part 2. Look at it from Abby's point of view. Joel and Ellie just rocked up out of nowhere and started murdering the hell out of all of her friends who were trying to save humanity.
That's right.
Interesting take.
Oz is funny too, because Baum introduces one of the books by saying that he's writing them in order to provide alternatives to the extremely violent media content for children in that era. Remember, we're talking about something that's over 100 years old, and he was complaining about media violence at that time. And then the books go on to portray the characters as murdering half the people they come in contact with, and quite violently too. So it seems this has always been a problem.
Did you say what your favorite character is?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're all kind of okay. I've never really liked the characters as they are in the books very much. I like the world. I like the premise of the world. I like the geography of it. I like the concept of this magic place. I like the reason for the magic is that this is it's an uncivilized place. And so that's something that's always attracted me to it. In terms of characters, I think in the first couple of books, not so much. No.
I don't really have a favorite either.
I just want to be clear. I don't usually pick favorites in these types of things because we're usually remunging them and rearranging them to be something new. So I never really want to be very connected to the original characters in the books. Otherwise, I'd write that bias into the stories we're telling. So just be clear about that. Yeah.
Silver Jinxed says, speaking of Last of Us Part 2, the TV show is going ahead. Pedro Pascal as Joel.
Wow.
Pedro Pascal, he's on fire recently.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch that. Okay, so we've got all of our feedback
Ooh,
here.
roll
and we're gonna
it.
roll it, and that person is gonna win a bloody rabbit. 3, 2, 1. It's Gimaluvu.
Gemu lovu.
Whatever that
Gem,
means.
you love you.
I feel like that's more of a Gimu Lavu. Anyway, congratulations, Gimu Lavu.
Gemulo vu.
Tell while I try to get Alex back, he's probably run away. You tell Gimu Luvu how to.
Send an email to support@mysterious.design. Tell us that you won a Hysteria rabbit. Name
human
and
readable
address and telephone number. Put your address on separate lines like a normal person. Do it within 24 hours or we'll laugh at you because we're not going to send you anything.
Okay, Alex, I think you can hear me, so if you would please turn on your camera. There we go. All right, I got to get rid of that thing over my face again. Let's see if we can hear you.
Yeah, definitely. Can you hear me okay?
I can, but you're quiet, so you're going to want to shout a bit.
All right. I'll try.
We
and
could
adjust
nudge
my levels
this.
again. Yeah. I'm kind of like got all of my levels as high up as they can go at the moment, so I'll just try and talk a little bit louder.
Okay, I've bumped up your audio on our side a bit as well. Great.
Cool.
Let's get right into it. So, what do you want to get into first? I think we want to talk about the design Bible. Is that right?
Definitely. I mean, because we had a few things lined up that we can chat about, which is kind of like process or getting into Monday and the workflow, or we can just jump straight into the design Bible to walk everyone through the proof of concept on the stream. So I'm happy with whichever you would choose.
I think people like a bit of visual candy first,
Yep.
and so maybe we'll give them a look at the design Bible. But I mean, first, just let everybody know kind of like who you are, where you are, and what you are. What are you doing on the project?
Well, sure. What I will do actually is I'm just going to quickly share my screen just so I can leave this up. So this is kind of my role is basically a lot of hats. Like I'm across a couple of things on the team, but if I could use a bit of an analogy, if this was a video game, is I guess I would be the support class where I manage the workflow, the approvals, and the systems that we've built, and also I'm part of the design team as well, so I'll work between the branding or the presentations and the logo designs for a lot of our projects. But it's really just more geared towards steering us towards the finished product, which the very end game would be obviously the game getting greenlit. But for now, our focus is on developing and getting all of that content into the design Bible. And I'm the lead designer on that as well. So yeah, does that sum it up? Or
I think that sounds good. You know, you're
cool.
the resident Aussie. We have team members all over the world. You happen to
do.
be in the same time zone as we are here in Shanghai, so you're quite easy to collaborate with. And yeah, you're
Yeah,
our,
no,
yeah.
No, I was just going to say, with touching on the fact that we are a virtual studio, you and I, American and Martin, we all come from studio environments with game development or whatever projects we're working on, where you can go out on the floor and physically walk between the development team or the design team or the marketing team, and because we're all physically, and geographically distant, so far away from each other. What we've tried to build is just a process and a way of working that allows a clear line of sight and a clear communication for our virtual studio. And that's what we've been working towards as well. And I think that about 8 months in, I think it's going relatively smoothly. I think we're doing pretty well there as well.
I think so too. And I also think that the role you play in all this is really critical because, like, when the radar team picked up on Oz, then I sent them some of our documentation. Little did we know, but Ted is a big fan, and I think Michael as well, of very well put together presentations. And we got the feedback back from them that this is one of the most beautifully put together presentations that they'd ever seen. And that comes directly from you because you take all the art that the guys produce and girls that produce on the team, and then you munge all that down into proper, publishing format for these PDFs and the books that we produce and things like that. And without that, we'd have a big pile of art sitting around with not much structure to it. So it's a really, really critical role.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
And that's exactly right. We're just the way that I approach those presentations is the potential of these projects and what we work on is huge. Okay,
Right.
it's AAA quality, and the artwork that the guys do is incredible. I think that the team that we work with is like all of the guys and girls are amazing, and just to try and get that artwork and the documents that we put out there into a format that does that justice. It's important, I think, as well. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Otherwise,
Well, the design Bible that you're working on, maybe we can pop that up on screen because that's the latest iteration of your brilliance in terms of layout and publishing materials. And I just maybe I can take a second just say the design Bible is what we're using as part of the strategy that I have, which is kind of a last Hail Mary type of strategy because we've tried just about everything with EA to get them to help us get this made. And so what we're going to do is it's kind of like a cross between a graphic novel, a design document, and an art book. Does that sound right?
Yeah, very much.
And,
I think. Oh, yep. Sorry.
Well, and I think that we think this is going to turn out so amazing that anybody who sees it will be like, make this game now. And that hopefully someone at EA will be like, why aren't we making this? this just
The
looks
cover
amazing.
already looks astonishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
no.
I'll let you take it from there and discuss a little bit about like what is the design Bible, what the contents are, and what, again, kind of talk about that purpose, like who's the audience and what's it going to do for them.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just take it from the top. And also, just for everyone who's listening at home, what's interesting is this is actually the first time American and I have reviewed this together after I sent the last proof. So if there is any changes or kind of design changes that we need to make, we might be able to talk about those on the fly too. But I will take it from the top. So the idea with the Design Bible is that it was made to serve, for the fans so that we can capture what the game experience is and you can read that in a linear fashion that is enjoyable. It's the proof of concept for the game and what we're creating. The Design Bible is also created for potential financiers, so it can be used as a sales tool, like you said, to plop down in front of an executive's desk and be like, this is what we got. And it's going to be incredible. Like it is going to be a great polished finished product, which will hopefully sway in favor of getting greenlit. And then after that as well, later down the track, this could also be potentially used as a developer's tool for potential scope of works, if it is picked up as a starting point. But so that's kind of the general overview. But going into the Design Bible now, the cover was created just to make sure that it opened heavy, like it looks like a quality product. So both, I've spent quite a bit of time on the layout and the design. Omri's artwork in the middle there is incredible as well. So, you'll see a lot of his work in there, and he is quite, he's great at what he does. Heavy spoiler warning, obviously, and it is work in progress. So anything that you guys see in here is 100% subject to change. The next page that we have straight off the bat is, I guess, like a call to action is what you could call it, where if you were opening this document as a PDF, you'd kind of just get straight into the point of the backstory of where we're at and what we're trying to achieve. There's also a couple of calls to action as well, where if you are an investor, we haven't set this up, by the way, this is all placeholder, but it's just funneling to get people to generate interest and get in touch, potentially make this happen. If you are a fan and you receive this document when it's finished, share it. Get it out there, talk about it, and you can support us through any of these channels here as well. And it makes a real difference. It keeps our wheels turning as a team. So that's that page there. I'm not going too fast here, guys. Is that okay? Do you want me to pick
That's
up the
great.
pace? Or?
I'm enjoying
cool.
it thoroughly. I finally get to sit back and relax doing my own live streams.
No, it's fine. You chill. I got this. It's fine. Go make a cup of coffee or something. So anyway, we've got that's the next page. So that's the opening. And as we get into the spreads, you'll notice that the first two are kind of just single pages, but The reason that we've made them like a spread, like a booklet like this, is so that if this is potentially printed one day as a physical hardcover book, it's designed to be the exact same same spec and size as the Madness Returns art book. So if it's up on your and Alice Otherlands book, which is one that we've also done together. So when they're up on your bookshelf, they work as a set. We had a lot of options for how we could go for the size, but this is what we decided to land on, just to keep our options open, whichever way that we want to go. All of this is placeholder context. We've got the team, and also, which is so important, is the Patreon and the patrons really have brought this to life for us, and we're going to put them front and center as well, just with a thank you. Obviously placeholder at this point, but that's the truth of it. You know, like we're all on this little journey together. The next spread, which we spoke about, and this has gone through a couple of iterations now, is we didn't want to make a book that was just like you open the book and here's the contents and you can just see all of the spoilers as if you're starting the game. We wanted it to be like when you start reading this book from the start, it's like you've just booted up the game and you're working through it from the start. And so you can experience the narrative and get surprised by it. So this section, how I've broken it down is, and American, this is the latest version, was each chapter is of the game, or level per game, is split into two halves, meaning that the first half is the complete narrative and gameplay experience, which reads a lot like a comic book. So you'll see the art interjected with dialogue and then gameplay notes, and it will run through in sequential fashion. At the end of each level, you will have this section which is behind the veil, which is additional detailed information. And we didn't want to kind of interject that with the narrative because it breaks the flow of the story. But we also didn't want to put it right at the end of the book because you might want to know a little bit about maybe the items that you've just encountered or the weapons or the characters. And the way that I've designed it is so that the second half of these chapters is almost like a pause screen, or like you're going into your tabs to find lore, or yeah, we're just trying to structure it to give you as close of an experience to playing the game as we can in this format. So that's how it will run through for the narrative. And then after we've finished, because there is so much beautiful art and so much conceptual work that has gone into this process, is we don't want to, just leave that on the cutting room floor. So when it gets to the end, we've told the story, is then we're just going to put everything that's in there, which might be, as you can see here, I'll just zoom in a little bit, artwork, or maybe merch concepts, and some words from Alice's fans. We might just try and get a bit of inclusion, just because we do have such an amazing community here that we want everyone to be a part of this as well. This end section was, I've left this in here even though it's not going ahead. But originally, in the first pass of this concept, we had the information laid out in a way that there were hyperlinks between certain areas. So you could flick backwards and forwards for additional information as it occurred in the narrative. And after the first prototype, American, you and I both agreed that this really broke the flow a lot, and it also posed a risk for I guess for a print format, you'd literally be flicking backwards and forwards between pages, even though we'd have numbers and stuff. But that's the original concept, but we've discarded that in favor of this new one. American, is there anything that you want to add to this, by the way? I don't want to kind of,
No, it looks great, and I think
cool?
yeah, I mean, and it's pretty well. It's indicative of the kind of work that we do together. You and I do a lot of back and forth on the story, and then on these designs, and it's one of your lovable foibles is your tendency to overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
We sort of joke about it, but there's a lot of good stuff that comes out of it, and I love the amount of passion that you have that goes into bringing that to the table. It's clear that you're not just invested and interested in it. You're going bonkers with how much investment and interest you have in it. So it's great.
Yeah, well, Well, that's it. We've got to give it our best shot. So that's just what we're here to do. And thank you, by the way. That's really kind of you to say. It's and also on the subject of that, as I will touch on it, is because working in this environment, I feel has helped me be more self-aware when I do spiral down into those like really complex or nitty-gritties that don't need to be. So it's nice to be pulled back from that just to be able to do the job. So it's all good. We all bounce off each other like that. And this is Jen's work here as well, by the way. I'll just highlight. I asked her that to drop that in for me yesterday to tidy up the page, and she delivered that. So yeah, great work.
Lots of
Anyway,
people in
and
the chat liking that Chibi Alice.
so they should. Yeah, and we were thinking about when Jen and I actually she delivered that rapid fire very quick. We were thinking about just doing it as a cartoon or perhaps maybe pixel art, which Jen is an absolute gun at as well. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But that's kind of your introduction as you go through. And up to this point is you'll notice in Art of Madness Returns and also in Otherlands, American, you've always kind of opened with your feels on the project and kind of just giving a little bit of a synopsis or a rundown. So we've left area for that, which I think is important to hear from yourself. And then from here on, this screen I designed, or was page, was maybe a mimic of press start to play. Like this is, you've booted up the game and you've got the kind of hero title scroll. And from this point on, spoiler warning, because we're going to jump into it. Like this will be the story and how it kind of pans out. So I'll just step us through. Here we go. And I'll just let everyone, I don't know if I'm going to narrate it, but you know, you guys can read it on the screen. And we're kind of pacing it so that even though this isn't a lot of content, it's heavy. You know, these are the very first words that Alice speaks in the opening of Asylum. And then we're into it. We open with a scene establishing shot. This is a rough draft, which I've whipped up, and I know Joey is working on doing a refined piece on this with Omri's art direction. And the story reads, I'll leave it up on the screen, but you'll see that we've got clear wayfinding kind of sign marking as to what chapter of the level it is. These are gameplay notes, which you can kind of read what American wants to communicate in the game design. We've got dialogue windows here, which is to be confirmed, obviously. This is kind of reminiscent of, I guess, like a Fire Emblem exchange. You've seen lots of characters speak in this way. And as it goes down, you'll see the kind of scenes that we have with Alice getting chased by the moon, and it starts to get pretty hectic pretty quick. Yes.
If I could just jump in, I do see some people commenting that they can't read this very clearly on their phones where they're watching the stream, but I want everybody to know that we will post this document as a PDF.
Yep.
The sample design Bible will be posted as a PDF up on Patreon. So if you want to be able to browse it at your leisure later on, that will exist. That's a thing.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, definitely. And everyone just, we'll put it all out there. And do just read through at your leisure once it's out there. So moving on to the next page, this is where it really starts to build the trauma that Alice experiences at the start. She's hearing from a mysterious voice. She encounters her family in the fire. And I'll come back to this scene in a little bit at the end of this chapter. And obviously after this happens, she meets the caterpillar, goes through, picks up the vorpal blade.
I could just jump in really quick, Alex. So the text of the book is completely pulled from both all the work we're doing with the team, obviously, and the structuring of all the art assets and the story that's going on over on Monday. That's like the production design tool that we use to organize all this. And there are posts up on Patreon where you can get the documents containing the game's basically story script, like all the events that take place. And a lot of this is just sort of copied and pasted from there. So this is the end result. But if you want to see the pieces that flow into this, that's all collected over on Patreon. Again, all of the posts
Yeah.
that contain those things are all open and free for people to read, except for the most like recent ones within 3 days, right?
Yep.
Alex, I don't know if it's necessary to read through the whole story that's
Sure.
contained in
Yeah.
there. Yeah. I think a lot of people
Well,
can't
let's
read
just.
the stuff on the screen anyway, so maybe kind of bounce
No,
through
that's
the
fine.
images and then.
Yeah, that's thanks. No, that's good. That's good direction for this. So that's kind of the chapter that we've just gone through. Ends with Alice falling into darkness, but this is the concept that we had, where you're now getting into more of the gameplay aspect, like the pause screen, where you'd be able to see what Alice's what she was wearing, where her weapons and items were picked up, maybe a little bit more background information on the level, characters encountered, and weapons. And this here, I think, is when you see a new weapon acquired, you could bounce back and you'd know that at the end of the chapter, this is what you've picked up. This, I think, is a good opportunity as well to put in a bit of motion. These are Norm's motion illustrations here. Obviously, that's just placeholder, but we're just trying to give you as much information from the game as we can. And that is heavily inspired by, I think, Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda, where you had kind of blank UI, and as it goes on, your elements are kind of filled in as you go, which I think is a good way to kind of, in the completionist in you, to get a good visual gauge of that. And the last part of this chapter is when I was talking about the slumber scene where Alice meets her family, and it's quite traumatic. This is an expanded scene script where American and I have gone through, and we have written, more detailed, important elements in the story, but we can't write the whole thing like this because it'll be huge. But for this format, so that's pretty much it. That's chapter 1, and after that, it's basically just rinse and repeat as we go through Denial Realm and continue the story. And that's the format. You'll find that you can see all the beautiful art that we've got here, and it just continues. There's little breaks, again, with the summaries as they go. And I guess the question now is because, like, we've spoken about this, and what do you guys feel? What is the general feedback for this? Do people think that this is good? Is it does it do it justice? That's what we want to know. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that everybody listening should know like a great place to put that feedback is when we post this document up over on Patreon. Again, it'll be free to read after 3 days, where if you're a patron, you'll be able to get it. We may post it up after this stream, I think. But then you could comment on that post, and we do read that stuff, and we do integrate that all into the design work, and we pass that information along to the artists, or they go over there and read it on their own. And I think just for me personally, I think it's doing a great job. One of the main goals is to make it feel like you're playing the game. Like you're going to see everything that's going on in the game before you actually have the game. It's kind of reverse of what usually happens. You publish the game and then you put out this book. And in this case, we're putting out the book in hopes that it'll draw enough attention that we are then able to make the game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
What
it
do they-
is, yeah, it's a good format just to kind of share this stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
having a little look at the comments popping in.
Yeah, I was doing that as well. So I think everybody's in love. Sounds good, looks good. They're trying to figure out a nickname for you because I'm Stick Boy and Martin is Foot Lord.
That's
Man, I've never had a nickname in my life.
that's going to be the next question.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
going to be the next
well,
question.
look, that's opening a can of worms.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll wear it. Welcome to the internet.
I have seen a couple people, they're saying it's hard to see on the screen here, and I apologize for
Sure.
that. It is one of the challenges of us trying to do this sort of like streaming plus Zoom call plus art presentation. Again, the PDF of this teaser, I guess this sample, will be up on Patreon, and you'll be able to download it. And I have it, and when I look at it on my screen, my eyes have an orgasm because it's just that detailed and beautiful. So keep some tissues nearby.
An eyegasm.
Exactly.
Good lord. Yeah,
I
hectic.
know.
All right, cool.
Hey, Alex, I think that actually showing off the state of this design Bible was great. I know we talked about doing a walkthrough of like how Monday works, and I saw people in the comments saying like, "Ooh, I would be really interested and seeing that. But I think that for this live stream,
Mm.
we may have given people too much good content, and they're all going to be knocked unconscious.
They won't
Yeah,
come
it's a
back
lot
for
to
the
take in.
next live stream.
Yeah. So I'd like
Sure.
to propose that we have you do the Monday sort of art team management talk on
Sure.
the next time we have you on, because that's the other comment I saw was many people saying they should have Alex on all the time. A couple of really, mean people were saying that they should get rid of us and just have you on. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to ban people from Twitch for saying that.
Instaban. Look, honestly, like I would be more than happy to come on and chat anytime. Like it's nice to, and have the other guys on as well. Like that we all love this, and we're all working hard on it and we're
Yep.
fans as well. So it's nice to share. It's
Well,
nice to be a part.
I'm glad we did this. It seems like it worked really well. I'm glad that I hate to say the word, but I'm glad that our VPN stood up to this.
Shush!
Sorry.
Oh, don't jinx it.
I've
Don't
already
jinx
done it. It's awesome, Alex. Any other comments from the viewers or from Martin or?
People just loving it. They're hoping it gets printed and made into an actual book, and yeah, they're just bigging up just the way you've
That's
set
great, guys.
everything out, the design, the typography. Just they love your style, man.
Oh, thanks, guys. Look, it means a lot. So, but I will say as well is like this, even though like we've shown this is early, like this is more just getting the layout done to get the pieces in place where they need to be. When it comes to a finished product, this is going to look beautiful.
And
So,
what are we aiming at in terms of the end date for this? I'm asking you that question like I don't know the answer,
Well,
but I think that's how
no,
I think that's how these shows
no.
work.
Look, no, that's cool. Like, because look, I'm just gonna tell the truth. Like, you and I have been working on this for about a month, just over a month and a bit, and we've got like a 3 month from once I started to get like a really good quality sample up to about a third of the way through of the game. And then from there, that'll probably end in around the anger realm, so that looks like a really good finished product. And then I remember when we spoke about it, is the end game for this to have it completely finished and as a finished product that I am aiming for is by December this year. So that's for all the way through and then finished and done as a complete product that we can put out there. So that's what we're aiming towards, and I will do everything I possibly can to make that happen. But we're pretty open books here. If something happens that, for whatever reason, we'll just communicate it as we go. It's just, that's the truth.
Yeah, it's great. All right.
Cool.
All good stuff. I'm so glad we did this, and I'm so glad to know that we now have the capability to do this now that our whole streaming rig has been upgraded. So yay for that. We're gonna wish you adieu, and we're gonna move on to the QA session or the reading off the Patreon comments and reviewing some new. He's taken over the whole screen. Stop him!
Whoop a day. What have I done? I've ruined it. I've cooked it for everybody. I am so sorry.
There we go. No, come back. I was joking. No, he's gone completely.
Come back so we can stare at you like this.
Yeah, I like Alex as the
do you want
sky
it?
god up there. Yeah. Wait.
Yeah, no, do it. All right, I'm incoming. Hang on, wait.
All right. That's
cool.
better. It's like the trifecta. There he
Nice.
is. All right. So yeah, we'll do this again soon. And right now we're gonna move over to giving out some prizes, and we're gonna then take a look at a bunch of new Alice art that's amazing, and then do the patron comments here. So thank you, Alex.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Cool.
Bye.
No worries. Catch you guys. Bye.
Ooh, hot ears.
Okay. Hot. I don't want to know about your hot ears. That's
We can
disgusting.
stop shouting now.
I don't know. It's hard not to shout when there's a person on Zoom. Okay. That was fantastic, and thank you all for being here to have that experience. Yay. We're gonna give away a prize, and I think we already figured out the question.
Yeah. What should Alex's live stream nickname be?
We've got Stick Boy, and we've got Font Lord. And what is Alex's live stream name? That's the question, and then you can win a Hysteria Rabbit.
So a couple of people already saying Typo King or Typography King or something.
Oh, I see. Layout King, or yeah. Typo King sounds like he just creates a lot of typos while typing.
He might do. He types a lot.
I like Igasm. That's probably right.
Igasm.
Yeah. Aussie. Aussie's okay. There's some of these scrolling by that I won't read. They're just not family friendly, so no. Art Bastion, God King. Wow. He's a typographer. The godly one. Geez. Okay. Well, I'm gonna take this as they both like Alex and they like what he
You
produces.
like Alex more than us.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
don't like
sad.
this question anymore. It's backfired.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're finished here. All right. We're not that thin-skinned, are we? We shouldn't be. No. Okay. So here's the thing. We need to give Alex a nickname. We have to find out if he even wants one. I'm not sure he even wants one. We'll find out. Sexual Chocolate. There you go. Let's just
Isn't that a name of a band?
It's a song. It is a song. Mr. Crowley. See, I feel like that's better. Or like Manager Crowley.
Yeah. It's quite like Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a good
Very silly.
name.
Yeah, but he may not like Hugh Jackman.
I invented that a few months ago.
No, you
I
didn't.
did, but I just never had a chance to use it.
Oh, come on. I don't believe
I do that with a
anything
lot
you
of
say
celebrity names. I kind of
Okay.
break them up into weird things.
Yeah, I've seen your desk where you do that. The corner where you scribble those things. All right, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Ja.
Ooh,
What's up with Nightbot today?
it's Wendy J.
Ja, Jay.
You know
I
that.
do. So Nightbot has a clear affinity for our insane children. I guess that's fine. Congratulations, Wendy. I think you know how to do the thing. You've probably heard us say that like a billion times. But do send us an email. Do include your name and address and phone number. We probably have it written down 1,000 times somewhere.
Probably already got a hysteria rabbit on the
Probably
way.
did. She could always give it away to somebody who she wants to scare. Okay. Wendy, I know how to pronounce your name. I actually do that as a joke, but no one ever gets my jokes. Okay, we do have a quick ad break. Sorry. And no, it's not Hero Dark Realms. No.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Yes. How do they do that? I don't understand. They're like on every video that I watch on the internet. No, we're advertising first person shooter, and no first person shooter is not another first person shooter. FPS is actually the new documentary from our good friends Alex and Deborah, and I assume they're in collaboration with the team.
Alex and Deborah?
Oh, sorry, Andrew. We just had Alex on. Give me a break. That was a genuine mistake. So Andrew and Deborah are good friends and longest and biggest sponsors. They are once again teaming up with the team that brought you the
In Search of Darkness,
In Search of
perhaps?
Darkness. Yes.
In Search of Tomorrow?
In Search of Tomorrow, yes. So they are making another documentary film, this time talking about the world of, history of, and all things of FPSs or first-person shooters, however you'd like to say that. Now, I will leave the links in the description below, but they are basically FPS doc, DOC, and it could be Twitter/FPS doc, DOC, or Instagram/that, or Facebook.com/that. So they're pretty consistent with where they live in terms of the internets. And they would like you to come over to those various locations and follow and join and discuss. And I think they wanted to know if you, the audience, do you have any kind of stories or lore or favorite things about FPSs that you want to let them know about that may end up being included in this new documentary filmo thing. So yeah, I think that they still have their podcast and SoundCloud and Twitter, I don't know, but anyway, you can find them at freakyfandoms.com, Andrew and Deborah. So they are our biggest, longest term, happiest, bestest, I don't know, sponsors, advertisers. So when you support them, you do support us. So please go and do the thing with them.
Yeah, and as mentioned later, these links and whatnot will be underneath the YouTube video.
They will. And we'll repeat a bunch of this stuff in the Patreon post as well. Okay, so now we're going to get into art review. We do a funny thing. We've stuck this all the way at the back. It used to come at the front, but that doesn't mean anything this time. It just means that we're super busy.
It's a jumbled up stream,
It is.
but a good one.
So what we're going to do is we're going to look at art, and then Martin is going to read comments, and he's also going to read comments from our patrons. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Great. Art review. We have a lot. So
Is this going to be a long stream? It's going to be like 2.5 hours or something?
I don't know how we're going to combine these things together because a bunch of Alice fans are about to see a bunch of amazing art that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I can talk about that while you're doing the patron comments. How's that going to work?
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe just we can't work together. We just have to plow through the art, then plow through some comments.
Maybe we could talk at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, look, this is an image from Joey on the Alice Asylum production team. Yeah, I mean, our production team on this has still been working like mad through the holiday and through my moving, and I haven't had as much time to share this stuff on Patreon. So a lot of this stuff, this will be the first time it's been seen. Our art team has a nice person named Joey working on it. She sometimes just kind of goes off the reservation and has a brainstorm and comes up with her own images and then throws those at the team. And most of the time we just like, okay, we'll find a place to put that in the game because it's all still amazing art, even though we didn't specifically ask for it. So this is one of the examples of that. She has done the looking glass line train kind of floating through a busted up. Anyway, you can see the picture. I don't need to describe it to you. But it's pretty cool. And yeah, we don't necessarily have a place that's written where a scene like this would take place, but it's a great image nonetheless.
It is. I suspect this is another one that will make it into print form. Very
Really?
probably.
I feel like we've got so many printable, amazing pieces of art, even just the first part of this year. And it's already like we'd have to start giving away 2 art prints per month to clear out the list that we have for this year.
Well, we do that sometimes.
Maybe we should just make that a thing from now on. Like every month is actually 2 art prints.
But then again, we've also heard from people that we're just giving away too many gosh darn art prints. They're running
Yeah.
out of room on their walls.
I guess. Okay. Next piece. Okay, so this I think was seen before.
Yeah.
This is the Duchess, and again, this is a piece from Joey. She had a bunch of different images come out of this request because the initial request had to do with like their first meeting between Alice and the Duchess, and then there was going to be a bit of a battle, and the Duchess was going to use the pigs, and this is fun. It kind of feels like it ought to be like an oil painting that's put up on somebody's wall. But there's not much action in it. It's a kind of hinted thing going on here with, I don't trust you, I've got my knife out. Anyway, we had to ask her to redo that in order to become something more like what was expected. And I think Norm got involved with this as well. Now, I don't have the fight scene in this folder, it seems, but we do have this, which is the image that Norm did of what the Duchess's companion pig looks like. Do you think that you could get that on an airplane? That whole room, that whole rule about having a companion animal. Like if you rocked up to the counter and you're like, "Yeah, this is my companion animal."
Yeah. I mean, it's the law. If you've got a companion animal.
I'm pretty sure they would recognize these as weapons, and they would say no. And then they'd probably suspect the pig had coronavirus or something else going on with this sort of stuff. Anyway, Norm did some amazing illustrations of the pig in action. So like if you were to actually go into battle against the Duchess, which you will, and she got her pigs out and sent them to attack you, this is what you could expect from that. So yeah, there are some Duchess update images, but it seems like I didn't put them in this folder. But that's
Seems
okay.
it.
Yeah. Joey also, there's a kind of line of work that she did on the croquet.
We should do that one as an art print.
This one.
No,
What?
the sketch.
The sketch.
That
first sketch. Well, that was her first sketch in response to the request to render this scene. And we just felt like, obviously, it wasn't surreal and bonkers enough. So she came back with this, and she does a little bit of explaining, as we all love very much. My favorite one is this. It's one of the crazy children from AMR, which she's referring to Insane Children. And this one has failed and was, after several attacks of the ball, she's dead. Just
Nice.
very matter-of-factly
Is
about
that the one that's got a possum
Yes.
on top?
So in the final, you really can't see it from far out, but if you zoom in a bit, this must have been Jen that gave her this idea. So
It must have been.
they must have been collaborating. Anyway, there's a possum just sat in this child's intestines, which is that's awesome.
Possibly just nibbling on them.
Maybe, or playing dead. I don't know. So yeah, she got to the final version of this. Did I already share this on Patreon? Kind of feel like I did. Anyway, so she definitely cranked the surrealism up to 12, and I like this a lot. This comes from a section of the game where Alice has passed through judgment, which is like a courthouse, and received her sentence, and her sentence is to croquet forever. And this is that game in progress. Now, I had originally envisioned something that was a bit more like World War II-y Battlefield with plus croquet. I was thinking, you know, dark, gritty, blood and guts flying everywhere, croquet balls like grenades. And she came back with this, and you can't say no, because it's fantastic. It works. And I think the combination, and I saw some of our Insane Children said that, sort of the combination of the cuteness and color of this with the fact that it's a bloody life or death type of experience works quite well. So
It does.
that one was pretty good. There is also work being done in the Veil of Tears. This is artist Adam, and he did a bunch of series on this as well. If you go into Monday, which I think Alex is going to show off next time, you can see a lot more of the iterative process where these images go from like, this was the first draft that he did, and then he added more detail. And the work here was trying to capture the fact that this scene, everything in it is frozen. Towards the end of that section on the Veil of Tears, Alice is sent to collect tears from the very iconic, very well known, the Veil of Tears crying Alice statue. Turns out that's how she's going to sort of unfreeze everything inside of this domain. So he rendered this. This is absolutely gorgeous. As I read it this morning, I think they still have a few passes to do on this image. But I mean, as is. So here's your problem, Martin. Like, this has to be a print.
Well, was there like, if you move along to the next one, is there a jazzy version?
They haven't produced it yet. If you move on to the next one, you get
right.
another of these images from the Veil of Tears, and that's what I'm saying. Like, for me personally, I could hang all of these images on my wall. This one, I think, obviously is going to. This is the first draft render of this. I think by the time he's done with this, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Usually, Omri goes in there and helps on the finishing touches. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I don't know how we don't have this as an art print. So,
yeah, this is another one to
Double.
the big old pile of future prints.
yeah. So again, those not familiar, a lot of these scenes are coming from the script as written. That is the Alice Asylum story. Now we've only got that like maybe half written with a bunch of holes in it and some big gaps. So like we know a lot about the ending. We're still kind of working on the meat of the after the middle of the game section. I saw someone in the questions ask, I think it was Nicholas Brokaw. He said, I haven't seen an update on the story stuff since like November. And yeah, that's true. There's been a lot of work being done on it in the background between myself and Alex. And then there's been a period of no work done on it because we were in the middle of a massive move plus Chinese New Year. So my plan is that tomorrow morning, Friday morning, after the big phone call, assuming that the big phone call doesn't make me super depressed or super excited, I will get back to work on writing. And there's a lot of it's already done. Like I was going through and reviewing with Alex the other day, and the truth is that it's all written down. It just needs to be all coalesced, combined, put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the stuff that does exist in public format is over on Patreon. That post is back in like November or December, but you can search around and find that. And then you'll know where all these images are coming from, because these are all drawn from the pages of the story as we know it so far. Yep, another one from the Veil of Tears.
Big old snail, like in the movie Love and Monsters.
Yeah, and all of this, when she's walking through this scene, would all be frozen in time. And then we're going to try to recreate a dynamic that was seen in the concept art for Alice Madness Returns, which is where you see Alice jumping through drops of water that are frozen in time. So they can become kind of like semi-active platforms. So you're kind of jump, then swim, then jump out of them through that. Oh no, we died. Doesn't say anything here, but just give it a moment. Is that...
It wobbled a bit.
All right. So yeah, we hit a little lag storm there. Okay. Next image up. Yeah, this is from. No, it's dying.
It's not died yet.
It's just dying over there, Martin.
It's not
What's
died
the
yet.
bit rate say? It's like 1,000. It's not good. Something happened. Yeah, we're struggling here with our bit rate a bit. So if you start to slow down, that's why. Maybe I see I spoke too soon. Yeah, this is the chess realm. So the scene where Alice storms. I'm sorry, not the chess realm. This is the Queen's realm. This is the part where Alice storms the gates. Eventually has to travel through the dungeons, but on the way she gets caught in the middle of a battle between the chess pieces and the cards. So yeah, this is the render for that. There are this looks pretty final, but there's actually another image on the way that's a collaboration really among the whole team to kind of add more action to this.
Okay, look forwards to that.
Drops of water. Again, this is from that section of the Veil of Tears. The idea being that each of the drops has some sort of specific style to it, and maybe telling a little bit of a story. So that means that these would be active, like you'd be able to see motion inside of them as you went past them. So this is a part of the Collect the Tears mission in that Veil of Tears. And then I think we're getting kind of close to the end. Omri's working on a new print. add it to the stack. He's working on a new print image, and this is going to be Alice, obviously, and the Cheshire Cat having a bit of an interaction. Now, I don't know exactly where in Wonderland or where in the story this is supposed to be happening, and I'm pretty sure I've seen an updated version of this. But, you know, from the looks of it, it'll turn out to be a pretty iconic and collectible and interesting one. I don't know that this is linked to the first time that they meet, and it should be in the Hatter's domain. So I should take back half of what I said. So yeah, I'm waiting to see the final version of that.
It's a good comment here from Screaming X in the silence. Those tears would make great pins.
The tears.
Pin set of those tears.
Yeah, it's true. We have talked about that a little bit. So yeah, a lot of times when we're able to, we will do variations on this stuff as physical collectibles. So yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, this one, I think our patrons have been watching this evolve quite a bit.
It's an odd one.
Yep. Do you know what this one is?
Like the name?
All right. So this is from the circus realm, which is also referred to as denial. So it's kind of like this prison she's locked into, but it's a prison of fun, right? She's a kid in a place where there's a constant circus going on. But at some point, the veil is lifted and she realizes that she's a prisoner. And then she's also acquired this crystal Vorpal blade. And then she decides to make her escape because she doesn't want to be stuck in denial for the rest of her life. Obvious symbology there for the PTSD experience that she's having sort of on the outside. And yeah, this is part of the Great Escape. Like she picks up her knife and she begins to sort of cut her way through the circus, and cutting her way through the circus, she begins to reveal that all of these characters that she knows and loves are actually these creatures called manipulators. So they sort of take on the appearance of her friends. But in fact, they are mechanical monstrosities who are programmed to keep her imprisoned within the circus. So chopping them up cuts through that illusion, and then you get a scene like this. So they're all coming out against her.
It's great style, though. Very different from the other stuff we do. I like the comic bookiness of it.
Yep. Well, that you can pin on Norm because he is, among other things, a comic book illustrator. And this is where that style really comes through. So he illustrated and did a lot of the action contained here. Now, I don't know who drew the initial lines of this. It might have been him. It might have been, I think Omri set down the environment. Then Norm filled in the action, and then Omri came back and finished the coloring.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a very busy but very beautiful rendering of that action scene. And that's why this styling is a little bit different.
Team effort. Well done.
Yeah, very good. That's the cover of the design Bible, which you saw a bit of earlier. And again, I will upload the PDF of that to Patreon, so you can browse through it and inspect every pixel. That's a brain. That's a pig. Now that brain is actually the Hatter's brain for a scene later in the game.
Right.
These are the pig attacks. Oh, there it is. That's the scene later in the game where the Mad Hatter is finally captured by the Queen, and she squishes his brain and kills him.
Oh my God.
Oh no, spoiler! He's gonna... I was watching Internet Historian last night, and I rewatched the thing about how the 4chan guys were trolling the Harry Potter fans, And
All right.
they would drive around with the bullhorn and scream out, Snape kills Dumbledore. And you hear the people in the crowd like, no! So anyway, this is Snape killing Dumbledore. Sorry. It does happen. But don't worry. He comes back in later games. This is all a prequel. So he dies and then he comes back. Go figure.
Hurrah.
Yeah. This is a bunch of esoteric alchemy stuff related to something called Prime. Crap, now I forgot. Prima Materia. Basically, the stuff everything is made out of. It's kind of related to the Philosopher's Stone. But anyway, at one point during the story, Alice is instructed by the Hatter to collect a certain amount of various chemical components for alchemy. And it's this stuff called the Prima Materia. And it's basically the result of transformation. So in a way, it's a metaphor for the transformation that Alice needs to undergo through her adventures. And in fact, we will do something cheeky like, you don't need the... whatever it is. I'm trying to think of a line from a movie where it's like, you don't need the MacGuffin, you've had it in you all along. So I think we may do a bit of that with this. There's other places in the game where that success won't, I hope, feel like, because oftentimes that feels a bit hollow, but anyway, I was doing some research on the Prima material to give the artists some directions on what that should look like. There it is, Materia Prima. And I was trying to figure out, help them figure out what that should look like when you collect it in the game. And so you stumble on a bunch of really fun, old, sort of illustrations of the way that people of ye olde times believed that the universe worked. And sometimes I see these things and I think like, man, I wish it did work like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love these kind of ye olde pencil type drawings.
Yeah, me too. I actually oftentimes print these out and hang them up. And I did have some of them.
What was it here? Grease black color? Says the art style is creepy yet beautiful. Maybe they're also referring to those pencil drawings. They are kind of creepy.
I love them. I like that they're creepy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. So, hey, look, that guy's got a star for a thing now. What's going on? Man, talk about pixelizing your junk not to get censored. That's okay. Maybe we should make a line of products like that. Yeah, they do some crazy stuff in these images. All right. By the way, I've not understood this because I've only had it mentioned to me sort of tangentially. What did Marilyn Manson do? Because I haven't been paying attention to the news. And
Yeah, I saw somebody dissing in the comments. I just thought, oh, maybe this person just doesn't like Marilyn Manson.
I saw that too. And
I didn't know if something had happened.
And then, well, I was on this phone call with the radar guys yesterday, and they said, yeah, we know you like Manson. It's too bad about what happened with him. And I'm like, what? What happened with him? So apparently his record label dropped him, but I literally have no clue what he did. I haven't taken a minute to look it up. So must have been something pretty terrible. If you know what that thing is, then you tell us in the comments. I guess that could be our last question, but it sounds like kind of a downer note, so maybe not.
He got me too'd. He's abusive.
I see.
Abusing women.
Okay. Well, that's
not cool, man.
No, it's not cool. Okay, never mind him. Moving on. We are basically at the end of this stream, and we've timed it almost perfectly.
Do some comments.
All right, you do some comments.
I'll fly through some.
Cool, you do that, and I'm going to see if I don't have something I can have scrolling in the background while you're doing that.
Well, this was mentioned a little earlier. The moon image in the design Bible was Alex's giant moon face image. But we recently had a post on Patreon saying that people prefer the mini moon or the big face moon image.
Right.
Quite a lot of people prefer just the normal, smaller moon. It's like an 80-20 split. So yeah, we'll that's going to be next month's print. We won't do the big face one. But yeah, a bunch of people who commented on that. Dorothy Harmon said really likes both, but imagined what I wanted on my walls to be the small moon. Who's that? Savo? Yep. Small moon. Big moon dominates the whole image, taking your eye away from everything.
Yeah, I don't think we need to read all the comments on this, but for sure, I think that it was an interesting question because the original image was by Joey, and it had the moon quite far away, and then Alex did a little quick edit and made the moon all up close. And I don't know which one I liked better. I actually like them better. I mean, I like them both, but for different reasons. And I think I agree with a lot of patrons who said the moon's too much if you're going to hang it on your wall. It overkills the image. So I liked the faraway moon. Which one did you like?
I like the faraway moon, but I wish the moon itself had a little bit more of an edge to it, a little more quirkiness that like the big
So
face
who won?
one has. A small moon.
Okay,
It's
good.
like 80%.
Well, I just don't want another one of those situations like we had with the little tendril,
Mushroom
head. Oh God.
That was like 50-50 almost
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and I did tell you early on that if we had another 50-50 event, I was gonna just decide. I wasn't gonna let it be that. So yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. Let's see what we got here. Lucky Dragon commented about a week ago. Been too long since the last live stream. I've been going through American withdrawals.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Very, very sweet.
This is from the croquet image on Patreon. Rugner's Custom Creations. Love the croquet game ideas, though that image does seem a touch too cheerful. Maybe all it needs is an ominous sky and some shadows.
Yeah, it's the same statement I made earlier that I was expecting something a bit more grim, and then we got this, and I think this is kind of funny because now that I saw this, I can imagine sort of whimsical Pop Goes the Weasel, the grinder thing, circusy music going on in the background while people's heads are exploding all over the place, and I like this. I like this better. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. Greg says, always been a fan of bright, colourful locations contrasted against the horrible events happening there. That conflict creates a sense of unease that fits perfectly with the tone of this series. Again, the same image.
Right. Before you move on, I've seen one person spamming the same question over and over again. How do you interpret the China villagers in Oz? In regular Oz, they are one of the most peaceful races, says Alpha 1412. I don't know. I'm not there yet. A lot of times, once we start on one of these projects, I will go bonkers and read all of the books in order, and I'll make a bunch of notes. I haven't got there yet with this because we're so busy on other things. Once it feels to me like the project is really real, then I will spend the time to sit down and read through all the books again, and I will do that through the lens of what it is that we're doing as a project now. Because I remember from the original books when she comes over the hill and she sees this lovely place and the China villagers are very timid. There's a little China cow and there's a China girl and they're all quite scared of her. And rightly so, because they could easily break, right? That was what the little girl says. I need to reread that all from start to finish, and I need to think about how that gets interpreted. Because I don't know yet. Now, you can always play a bit of a joke there. Like in the original telling, the China villagers were meek and timid, but maybe in this version, they're giant. So, they'll just step on you, right? It could be something like that. They could have all been wiped out. We're going in, like I said, there's a branch here. We're going into a branch of a new take on the universe. So, they may just not exist in the sense that they did in the books. Someone else asked the question about the Alice in Madness Returns re-release stuff. There's a video over on YouTube. Please go watch that. It deals directly with that question about ports and the rights situation and the source code that may be lost and all this kind of stuff. It's too much for me to discuss right now, but it is a frequently asked question, and we do have a section on YouTube that is solely about FAQs.
Indeed, we do. Yep. Okay, moving on to the post. This one's about the demonic pigs post on Patreon. Celtic Kitty loves the attack toddlers idea, like a twisted version of the cartoon Rugrats.
Yep.
Man, blast from the past there.
They're still going strong.
Rugrats still going.
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, these toddler pig things, they're great. I can't keep saying that I just recently had a kid. I didn't have the kid, obviously my wife did, but I have learned a lot of really disgusting things about the attacks that children have just right out of the box. And one of them is to poop so hard that it squirts up their back and out out the back of their pants.
Nobody
And
wants
he-
to imagine that.
He even did it yesterday, and it was like, come on. He's like 1.5 years old now. You think like, when are you gonna stop doing that? He's quite calm about it. Like I get the sense that he knows that he did a super attack, like a special. And he's just like, and you're like, oh no, did you do that again? And he's like, yep,
Needs tighter diapers.
exactly.
Austin Henson says, almost thought these were the three little pigs from the nursery rhyme, and then realized it would be interesting to see Alice tangle with some of the darker tales of the Brothers Grimm. Could that
That's
be
no,
a
I'm not doing that.
No, but in the world of
Yeah.
Alice, she would know of the Brothers Grimm.
Don't think so. They were
Oh, then no,
later. They were later in time, but
then
there
it cannot happen.
Well, but there has been that. There's that TV show that had Alice in it, but it also had I can't remember. I can never remember what it's called, and I've never watched it, so don't ask. Okay, keep going.
Michael Garvey says, what about a rattle made out of a dead rat? Get it?
Well, that's
not
funny.
bad.
That's actually good. That's actually good for the universe of Alice, because we do like our puns. We like our little wordplay.
Could see the rat's tail being the handle. As you shake it, the thing vibrates and has a sonic distortion. Yeah, a rat tull.
Yeah.
Well done. Moving on again, this was the Back with a Vengeance post, which may actually be this image. Wow.
It is.
Syncing up very well today.
It's all on purpose. It's the mistakes are actually scripted.
Sherry says, sounds like there's a lot of exciting news. Can't wait. Good luck unpacking. Yes, we did have the exciting news today.
We did.
So,
Yeah.
Nicholas Brokaw, I'm glad you folks are getting settled in. Super excited about the prospect of learning who Redacted 2 is.
Well, you
Now
have.
you know.
Oh, I think I mentioned it when we were talking about this, but Redacted 1 is back at the table after the Chinese holiday. So
You kind of partially
mentioned
mentioned
that,
it
yeah,
earlier
but
in the stream.
just to reiterate, the people who want to fund the studio and the Alice game, we're going to meet with them in mid-March.
Much.
And they sound pretty positive, actually. I don't think that you go and have a face-to-face meeting with somebody to tell them no. Like when you break up with somebody, your preference is just to not tell them or to send them an SMS.
Or just ghost them.
Yeah,
Isn't that what the cool kids do these
That's
days?
what I'm saying. So I kind of think maybe something's going on there. We'll see soon.
Oh, what else? Joey Logan just basically absolutely loves the cover art. Don't know which art that is.
Don't either.
Me neither, but still loves art. Thanks,
Yeah, we all
Joey.
love art.
Lucky Dragon saying congratulations on a successful move.
Thank you.
Yes, Wendy J saying, dang, Joey, you delivered on the fear.
That
From
was
that,
the Duchess
from
one.
that
Yeah,
image.
yeah,
It's
that's
kind
right.
of scary.
Mhm.
Loves the design Bible. Cover looks awesome. Can't wait to snag one someday. Me too. Hope I can get my hands on one.
No,
No.
not gonna happen. You're just not gonna. No.
Renegade. Glad you're settling in. Being a newer patron, really should have been taken advantage of the time you were away to get caught up with the posts and videos. There's a lot to get caught up on if you're a new patron.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Juan Romero, clearly also kind of newish. Saying Oz could be a, says Netflix, series. I missed that one. Well, don't know where the Netflix came from, but yes, Oz as a series. Yes. Dum 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 dum
That's
dum.
it?
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought that was gonna be a month of that because we've been away for so long. Okay,
No.
cool. That's it. Except we have to give away one more prize. Do we have a question? I guess I have a question. What was the most exciting bit of news you heard today on this stream? That's it. So you can answer that in the chat, and then we're going to give away a prize, and I think we're going to call it a day. Have we covered everything? We talked about
We need
Oz.
to do the big four things.
Oh, but we talked about Oz.
Mhm.
We played some game badly. We talked about Asylum. We did art. Alex was on. It all went pretty successfully. I'm surprised.
There was a mini wobble
Yeah, I don't care about
of
that.
the VPN, but yeah, it's all great.
It's all good. Okay, well, while you are typing in the comments here, Martin will badly read them or not read them at all because he's not paying attention. And then
I was thinking about what my favorite thing was.
Oh.
I just kind of like the whole radar thing, looking at what movies they'd done in the past and seeing that big list on Wikipedia.
Yep.
It's all good.
Yeah, a lot of people are very happy about Oz. I am too. I cannot wait until we have a TV show up on somewhere, and we can see all this credits scrolling by, and there'll be a mention in there of our insane children, and that'll be great.
The design Bible was exciting. Learning about Redacted 2.
We love Martin. No, none of that. Stop that.
Yeah.
Don't love Martin.
Alex and the book. The art. Art again. Radar pictures.
Well, there you go. It's all good stuff. Everybody loves
It's been a good old stream.
it. Has Alex the Mad Crowley. Yes, I like that.
No, what did the one I liked best? Eyegasm.
Eyegasm.
Yeah.
I like that too. All right. So, we got to do these things before we say bye-bye. That is just to say, if you liked what you saw here and you like what we're doing, please find a way to support us. It could be as easy as signing up for our mailing list. We're just collecting all these names, and we make a lot of money selling these emails to those Nigerian scammers. So
We do.
Please go give your email address to the Nigerian scammers. You can follow me on social media, even though I barely use any of these things anymore.
I use Instagram quite a lot.
Yeah, but they don't have a free speech issue. I just can't believe what's going on with these other platforms. But let's not get into politics. Anyway, there is the Facebook, and there's the Instagram, and the Twitch, and the Twitter, and the YouTube. So go follow me on those platforms. There is Patreon, which we've mentioned a few times here. Not only do we share all the things we're working on early to our insane children over there, but we also make the occasional interesting little collectible thing for people to take home physically. And then we also distribute a lot of the art prints that we create, or art that we create as art prints. Anyway, you go over there and click on Patreon, and then you can find us, and yeah, good stuff. And then you can buy small skulls and normal sized wallets, and the girl's not included, but we do sell the necklace over at my personal online physical stuff shop, which is called Mysterious. Also a lot of products over there from my wife. She's making all kinds of clothes and collections and jewelry, and she's got a lot of support from Jen, who is there in the chat. So those things all help us tremendously. And if you don't do one of those things, I'm going to send you a picture of my child having shit up his own back. So you've been threatened. Please comply. All right.
Please comply.
Somebody's asking if the makeup set is available. No, it's not. But we're just coming out of the Chinese New Year break here, and Yin will be working on the makeup set right away. So hopefully this year. Cross your fingers. As long as it's not another giant global pandemic. Someone says, how is Lulu? Lulu's great. She likes the new house. She's not downstairs here with us today, and there's really not a lot of room to stick her down here, but we'll figure it out. She will be back. So, all right. Somebody asks, you okay? Or about me. Why wouldn't I be okay?
We need Chaos Coin Crypto.
That's a good idea. It would be
Maybe.
worth a ton of money right now. All right. We're going to give away a prize. Here we
Roll
go.
it.
It's going to be another one of our insane children, I betcha. It's, I don't know, somebody new. Miss Celia Frost.
Dressed up in a lovely old gown.
Seems to appeal to your inner Brit. Miss Celia Frost, congratulations. You have won a Hysteria Rabbit, and you will claim it by sending an email to support@mysterious.design, which Martin will then read. We'd like you to do that in a human readable, like clear and understandable format. Make sure to mention that you won the Hysteria Rabbit, and do that within 24 hours or you forfeit your prize. I think that's it. I'm losing my voice.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's true. So I think we're going to get out of here.
Yes, I think that's it. Everything done. Done the things, done all the things.
I was nervous about today's stream just because it contained so much. So I'm glad that we got through it and that the internet didn't explode.
I was fairly confident. A couple of pros like us could get through it.
Alrighty.
But yeah, went well.
Well.
A good one.
Right. See you all later.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Like I said, we dual streamed today, so this will be up over on YouTube, we think.
We think we did.
If
Great.
you want to go back and listen to something else we said that you might have missed, yeah, thanks for being here, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye. Hey, I gotta find the button. There it is. Okay, now really bye-bye.